So my old man, he once broke somebody's arm taking a voluntary statement. That's the kind of police officer he was. It's a joke.
Yeah, no, I got
Oh,
it.
I wasn't sure.
My mum said, your father has something to show you. And so she said, drop your trousers. And I said, do you think that's normal?
And he rings and says, I've got bad news. It is just like, boom.
People that I know that have had prostate cancer are still with us.
If it's caught early,
Yeah.
most men shouldn't die of this.
It's not the best test, and we need better tests. But it's the best test we have.
As a man from Afro-Caribbean background, those odds shortened to twice as likely.
If you don't put your finger in it, you'll put your foot in it.
I prefer the finger.
I think
So, chaps, we're here to talk about prostate cancer. Now, I know that none of us have had prostate cancer, but we all have stories about family members or friends who've had prostate cancer. Who wants to kick off?
I'm 65.
You don't look it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, well...
That's all I want to say.
I'm 65.
My father had prostate cancer, and I've got an older brother who currently has prostate cancer. You look at the statistics, I'm one of these people that has to be very, very aware.
Did you realise that you were at high risk?
Dad was diagnosed probably over 20 years ago. Even then we became aware that it was in the family. My brother hadn't been getting tested quite so regularly. He was asymptomatic, and then there was just a slight change in peeing more, and sadly by that stage he was stage 4.
Even though the PSA had been normal, which is the blood test?
Yeah. He's on hormones now, and you know his life expectancy is a good few years yet. You know, I've got a brother-in-law who had it removed.
Right.
He's still with us and is in very good health. So I'm maybe fortunate, but the people that I know that have had prostate cancer are still with us. Dad was a different story. In the midst of being treated for prostate cancer, was diagnosed with a thing called mesothelioma.
So, in fact, he died with prostate cancer, not of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
What was your story?
Yeah, so my father was diagnosed last summer, end of last summer, with prostate cancer, but luckily quite early. But yeah, it was a real shock. I still remember where I was. I was on the phone, about to cross the street in East London, and he rings and says, I've got bad news. And, you know, it is just like, boom. He was talking to all his friends, and I was astounded at how many of his friends went, oh yeah, I had that.
Yeah.
Or I've gone through this, and they hadn't told each other. And then I started researching, and, you know, so as a man, I've got a 1 in 8 chance, but then as a man from Afro-Caribbean background, those odds shortened to 1 in 4, so twice as likely. And then obviously, you know, I'm 50 this year, my dad's got it, so those odds, you know, shortened, and that really brought it home. You know.
And what about you? What's your story?
I guess in retrospect, I should have known more. And obviously you have to separate, you know, the emotion with your father to being a clinician. But essentially I went home one Christmas and my mum said, your father has something to show you. And I was like, oh my God, what's this? And so she said, drop your trousers. And one of his legs was twice the size of the other one. And I said, do you think that's normal? And he said, it will get better, it'll just go away. Right, is that likely? No. And I said, I think you've got a clot in it. It's a classic sign, and so that was the way that Dad presented, and very sadly he died of prostate cancer because by the time we caught it, it spread to the liver, but it then spread to the bone, and the end result was horrific.
How long ago was that?
So he ruined my 40th birthday. So it was nearly 13 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
Interestingly, on the back of my father's diagnosis, all his friends went out and got tested. I think 2 or 3 were found to have prostate cancer, and of course they're still alive.
Right.
Well, the problem is that we've got this test, which is the blood test, this PSA test, which you know very well.
Yep.
But the problem is, it's not the best test. And we need better tests, but it's the best test we have. What we want to do is to encourage people to listen to their bodies, and if they are worried, to talk, have an examination, and have a test.
If it's caught early, that basically most men shouldn't die of this.
Is there a better test?
Currently, as far as I'm aware, no, but they are in development, and that's what we need. And actually, what we need more than anything is a screening program.
Yeah.
Because it seems to me extraordinary that we are doing breast screening, for example, and yet prostate cancer, the most common cancer in men, we don't screen for.
Yeah.
And the reason is because we don't have a very good screening tool.
So that's where we need funds for research.
Absolutely. The more we have, the better the tests get.
There is another thing as well. Did you think it was just going to be a blood test, or did you think you were going to get a digital examination? Because I think that's something that puts men off. What's it called, Doc? Is it
A digital rectal examination.
A
So
DRE?
so basically it means you put your finger up your bottom.
Now I understand why Dr. Dre got all the publicity.
Very good. Yeah.
So my dad got diagnosed in Barbados. We brought him back, and they did the digital test in the room. I was there, and it took
Seconds.
10 seconds.
And it was absolutely no time at all. And it struck me immediately that we should be destigmatising that.
The reason you do it is you can feel the prostate and you want to check it's smooth, it's symmetrical, there are no lumps in it. I mean, it's a very quick test, and it gives you very good clinical information.
So my old man was a Perthshire cop. But before that, he'd worked on the railway shovelling coal for about 4 years. He was 5'8"3/4" with a 50-inch chest, right? So he was a barrel of a man. He was a good cop, right? He once broke somebody's arm taking a voluntary statement. That's the kind of police officer he was. It's a joke, David.
No, I was like...
I wasn't sure.
I wasn't sure. Well, they're very tough up north.
He never lost his sense of humour throughout all of his illness, you know, and they were talking about the digital rectal examination, and Dad said, never thought I'd see the day, Fred.
Well, do you know, we've got an expression in medicine, it's just come back to me. If you don't put your finger in it, you'll put your foot in it.
All right.
And that's true.
I prefer the finger.
I mean, that's...
I think it was metaphorical. It wasn't.
I'm no medic, but I just don't see the benefit of that at all. I mean, the saying at our golf club is, if you're not a urologist, you'll certainly be a patient of one, right? Because that is the age group, and people like myself, you know, the dads, and, you know, coming up to Father's Day, I will probably this year sit down with the boys and just reiterate, you know, that there is prostate cancer in the family and that they should be aware of it as well.
If there was going to be a clear message to give to people over Father's Day, what would that message be?
Well, I think it's be open, honest, frank, give the facts.
Yeah.
And always, if you're worried and you have symptoms that you think are a bit strange, get some help. And it's much easier to do it early on and prevent illness than it is to do it much later on. And obviously, I felt completely impotent by the diagnosis because, of course, my job as a doctor is to stop people being ill. And if you can't look after your own father, what do you do? And, of course, there's this terrible feeling of guilt. Should I have acted earlier? What should I have done? Should I have known about the signs? Why didn't he tell me? Why didn't he talk to me? But we should celebrate our fathers.
Yeah. I'm just so lucky your dad's still with you, Kunle, but I mean, there's not a day goes by that you don't think about Dad.
Of course.
No. For my father, he just loved celebrating family, friends. He loved a party, and particularly he loved Christmas. And the music would start at like 6 in the morning. Carols, you know, he would appear dressed in some festive outfit because he just loved celebrating anything, you know.
Father's Day goes both ways for me. It's for me and my dad, but then it's back towards my children and me. And, you know, and I look at them and think, gosh, you know, I've got to be vigilant. And in a weird way, I'm happy that he's been diagnosed because I think that in the end, that could well have saved both of our lives. And it will make, I think, Father's Day, particularly this one, a lot more special. And I think we'll be celebrating, but it'll be in the back of our minds. But we feel that we're dealing with it in the right way.
What lies ahead for prostate cancer in the UK?
We need to improve the testing. We need to start a screening process, but we need a really good screening tool. We need money to fund that screening tool. And if you do find it, you catch it early, you treat it, and you cure it.
That is achievable, isn't it? We can achieve that. So we just need to raise enough funds, get the message out there.
Get men talking.
Yeah, talking to each other.
Follow our example. It's been great. Wish you all the best.
And to you.
Let's do this again.
We should do.
Exactly.
And thank you for sharing. Anyway.
Thank you.
It's been really nice to speak to you about it.
Nice one.